and welcome to another author interview for the Backyard Peace Project anthology, Finding Peace Through Struggle. And today we are joined with one of our amazing ambassadors, and he's on the advisory board as well with the Backyard Peace Project, and he's come into the book. So he's very much an integral part of our movement. So Paul, thank you so much. I know that your calendar is very full, so I really appreciate you taking the time.
My pleasure. Absolutely. Anytime to have a quick chat with you. Love it.
So, Paul, your chapter is quite vulnerable and it touches upon some moments that have taken you to places of challenge and questioning yourself and really forcing you forward to make some pretty big choices about your life and where you wanted your life to go. So, can you speak to that?
Yeah, where do you start? It's I feel like it was one that has molded or shaped who I am today. Like it's part of, but it was a big one. Looking into where I was at, I suppose, like trying to make sense of life, about to become a new dad for the first time, and then all of the things of needing to have security and the white picket fences and all that sort of stuff in regards to having a family, but there's also the underline of deep down knowing that the work that I was doing at the time wasn't right for me. And I suppose the pressures of all of that, because I was managing a business at the time and I was doing nearly 80 hours a week, barely sleeping, stressed out of my head, and went to burnout real quick. And it put a lot of pressure on me physically, mentally, and it sent me to a place of a complete shutdown, like physically, emotionally, and health-wise. I wasn't in a great place. So, I feel it's a strong place. I talk to a lot of people and work with a lot of people. They are in similar situations and not sure how to get out of them. And so that's where this evolution of the challenge, I suppose the catalyst, has offered me an opportunity to then transform the situation, transform the anxiety that I was going through, and use it as a tool, not only for myself, but now to help other people through that, which is super, I guess, inspiring, and I'm so grateful for, and impactful.
Mm. And look, Paul, I really feel that so many men listening to this are going to be resonating with what you're saying, because I do feel a lot of men do feel trapped in that sort of provider role. And especially when they're doing something that doesn't fulfill them, doesn't fill them with excitement and joy and light and happiness, but they feel they're tied to it because of those family responsibilities. And I totally get it. Like my husband and I have had conversations over the last 31 years, several conversations, but just saying, that we wanted to understand for each other that the person was bigger than the role.
Yeah,
and so being able to say, if ever there's a time when you're not happy, if ever there's a time you don't feel this is working, this is only good if it's good for everybody. Do you know what I mean? And so I do
absolutely.
feel like so many people are trapped in that. So it takes a lot of courage, as a man and as the primary breadwinner, I'm assuming, is when you're starting a family and you're expecting your first baby, to say, hey, I'm all up for the responsibility, but not in the way that I'm doing it right now. What does that look
Yeah.
like?
It's hard. I wasn't actually the breadwinner, but it was a part of like the main. So my wife and I, we were a really strong team, and thank goodness for her. Sounds like what you guys have is a strong bond there. That life is more important than a job, and keeping the family knit together and everybody healthy and safe is number one on there, and keeping the family, working and well. And I suppose it's the within that team space, and it's also, even if you're just solo, the challenge of wanting to step out and do what you are drawn to. It's not to do anything that's out of the norm, but when you know there's pressure on and it's not good for you mentally and physically, it's hard to make that jump because we're so ingrained and so, I guess, conditioned to just go and get a job, pay the bills, do your day-to-day work. But then if there's something else that's screaming out to you and challenging that, and then your emotions get involved where it becomes heavy, then we need to learn to listen to that, especially as you know, the stigma of the blokes. Like it's a hard thing to talk about emotions. Like I've been working in this industry for over 30 years and I still find it hard to talk about my emotions. I'm getting better, but for some ingrained reason, there's this feeling and sense that don't show emotion. Try to hide it. Be strong for everyone. And then, you know, go and have your moments of breakdown, but then don't show anyone, which is real hard because some of those moments are very, very tough. And I suppose part of my story is those tough moments of having to look at life and decisions and big decisions and work through that. Or try to, at least.
Yeah, I mean, I was part of a leadership group recently, and we were discussing just this very thing about revealing the truth, I suppose, in the moment. And but there's so much fear, especially in corporate, about revealing that because it's seen as weakness, it's seen as you're not good enough, it's seen as, you know, all of those things. And so it just compounds the issue. And so we need a cultural change is what we need more and more people to talk about it, more and more people to be vulnerable, and to be able to tell your story is courageous, and it's going, I feel, to reach so many people and hopefully get them to just question things. Just no pressure, but just let's take a stock take here. You know, am I actually happy? Have I got in a bit of a routine here of just doing the same thing every day because it's safe, because it's predictable? And is that going to set my life, you know, is that going to set my heart on fire? Is it going to make me joyful? And do I want to do this for the rest of my life? And finding those alternative routes. So how is it that you discovered breath work? Because you know that I've got this big hang up about breath work, and one day I know you're going to get your hands on me and go, right, let's do it. But
absolutely,
I've got this weird thing about breathing, as you know, and I have had since birth, maybe to connect it to my whooping cough as a kid, I don't know. But what is it about the breath work? How did you find it, and what impact did it have on your life?
it's been life changing. Since I started on this journey, there's always been a form of a breathing. Was more for meditation. Like originally, when I looked into meditation when I was a teenager, it was around anxiety, and I wanted to go down the natural form of trying to find a space to work with the emotions. Not that I really knew much about it then, but there was breathing in the meditation. Then I studied hypnotherapy, and there's always breath within that space to guide people into a calm space. Yet back then it was more the words and then just speaking them out. But now I know, and I've come to a space where I've studied and researched and gone down the rabbit hole of the science, the spiritual, every sort of aspect of breath work and what it actually does. And it's unlimited abilities within that space. And I guess that I came to that point by going through the fire because I needed help. I needed some help with my own emotions and my nervous system and going through breakdown. And I didn't know how to just calm myself down because I was so burnt out. I had nothing left. And so all the emotions were just there and raw. There was rage, there was frustration, there was depression and anxiety just running through the roof, and it was continuous, and it was out of control. And like any sort of human, we want some form of control in our life. And it came about that I knew some stuff about the breathwork, so I was testing it. Then I started looking into it and researching more and finding that what you can actually do with the biology, with your nervous system, with the breath in itself, and the function it has on your health and well-being mentally and physically, and it's huge. So simple, yet we've never had the information or the I guess the full depth experience or been taught it completely, how to use the breath. And there is other tools, but the breath is a key one to shift your system into a space where you can function better when you're in a deep dark hole to help yourself out of that. And it's simple. You carry it with you everywhere, so you can do it anywhere, anytime, as long as you know how to use it well. And basically, a lot of the work that I do is about retraining people with their breath. And like you're saying, some of the challenge with the breathing for yourself, it's like that habit or that creation within your system is working for you at the moment. Yet if you want to change it, it's like retraining a different form, how to step into the, how to breathe. So then your body goes, this is what I actually need, and this is what can help me. So I suppose that's what I learned. I learned through going through challenge and physically understanding how quickly it can shift your body for the better, how quickly it can help shift your mind, and it's free, which is really cool.
Yeah, I mean, I know you've got a course in the Backyard Peace Project, so I've been eyeing that up. I need to go through that what is it, 7-day challenge? I need to do that.
Yeah.
But when you're in burnout and your filter has dissolved, as you said, everything was super raw. What's going through your mind at that point?
I had nothing left. I didn't have much to think about. I wasn't sure. It was like I was so far out of control that I didn't have an answer. And doing this work for so long, thinking I've got all the tools, I should know this. So I was shooting all over myself, thinking that I needed to know the answer. And that made it even worse because then it was like, well, what's wrong with me? Nobody knows what I'm going through. Nobody can feel this pain. They may see it a little bit, but they don't feel how bad it is. And yeah, that's hard.
I remember after having my third child, I went into postnatal depression, and it hit me pretty hard. And there was things from my past that, for whatever reason, that third birth kicked off for me. And I remember my darling dad, who's no longer with us, but I was absolutely adored him. And I remember him saying to me one day, "But Kath, you've got a great husband, great kids, a lovely home, a great job, everything was rosy." And it really was, like, I had a really great life. And I said to my dad, I said, "Yeah, but Dad, that's the problem, is that my emotions don't match my thoughts. Like, I logically know this. I know that I'm really lucky. I know I've got 3 beautiful children. I know I'm in a really lovely home. I know all of this." And the depression part is, why aren't my emotions matching with my cognitive ability to see what I'm doing here? Do you know what I mean? I understand that I'm lucky. And I do feel like there's so many people out there right now that are struggling with anxiety, depression, stress, all of those things. There's so much going on out there at the moment. And what I love about what you teach is that it is free. Once you know the techniques, you can really empower yourself in those moments and have this incredible tool to be a bridge from where you are in the state that where you are right now to where you want to be, which is, more calibrated and more calmer and solid, and feeling, that you can actually think. Because obviously when we're in fight, flight, freeze, fawn, don't ask me to say that after a glass of wine, we're not thinking logically. That's gone out the window. We're very, very much on our instincts. And so if anybody was listening right now who have these heightened emotions of anxiety, those depressions, all of that, what would you suggest that they could do, like, today, to help themselves?
There's two key areas to this, and this, I suppose this is part of the story as well, where to get to a place to be able to think well or to think better or to shift yourself out of that emotional state. It's hard to think when you're in there.
Mm.
And, people go, oh, just breathe. And you're like, leave me alone.
Yeah, yeah.
I am breathing. Or, you'll be right, or things like that. It doesn't really help because you're so in the emotion of it. As soon as your emotions are heightened, and this doesn't necessarily have to be all negative. When you're heightened in an excited way as well, our intelligence drops because we're all in the emotion of the situation. And it's harder to think well and find solutions and to drive into that space. So that's probably the first part, is to stop and to recognize. And I think that's the main part, is to stop and go, check in. How am I? How am I feeling right now? And be brutally honest with yourself in that space. And especially for the guys out there, recognize that maybe you're not okay.
Mm.
And so that's probably the first point, is awareness. And everything that I go through and share is about awareness. It's being aware of what's going on in your body, because your body holds that score. Like you're saying, like consciously, that I don't know why I'm feeling these emotions, and why there's depression, and why there's sadness within that space. Yet at an unconscious level, it's a build up in your system. It's been a compounding lack of sleep, compounding emotions, compounding experiences, a compounding challenge, that there's just one little, fairy dust of extra, and it sets everything off. And so sometimes we think about it where, oh, it's just that one thing, but it's like been 10 years of, you know, storage in our body of stress and trauma and emotions, that one day your body's just like, this is enough's enough, and I need to either shut down for a minute so I can recover. And it gives you emotions, so then you can work through that, and awareness. And so I suppose the first part is check in. Second part is to work on a deep breath, because when we're in stress, we're all shallow breathing from the chest. And that's actually firing up the emotions of anxiety and stress more, because when we're in fight or flight, it's just your body's way of giving you, I guess, a form of adrenaline, so you can fight or fly, so you can run. You're about to go into battle. You need some energy. You haven't eaten for 3 days. What's going to happen? Ooh, we got to breathe fast and heavy, because the oxygen is going to give you fuel, so you've got energy to run. Yet a lot of the time, our challenges aren't in our face. They're on our phones, on our computers, in our ears, on a billboard. It's sometimes they're not immediate in there, but that compounding of information takes its toll if we don't work with it, or deal with it, or shift it. And so it's then going from that breath to working on drawing on an extended breath. So working to breathe down and expand your belly. So down to your belly button, like what you just did. Take that deep breath. And it's quite nice when you get that stretch. It's almost like massaging your internals, because you're getting a diaphragmatic breath, which opens up the chest, opens up the space around the heart, and actually gives heart more room to pump good oxygen, good blood through the system, and takes that pressure off, because you can actually work with your heart rate with it, slow it down. By doing that, then your nervous system starts to go back into safety mode. The amygdala's firing off these signals to say we're in danger, quick, run, run, run. Yet once you start to regulate, which is just doing a slower breathing, it switches on the prefrontal cortex, which then is like the parent that comes in, is like, you're safe. Well, I've got you. Let's move through this. And it gives you then space from getting that breath. You only need, sometimes, depending on your situation, again, tune into your body, 5 breaths, 10 breaths. Just deep in through the nose, out through the mouth. In and out. And just in those moments, your body starts to shift. The emotions start to drop. And then that's when the cognitive can start to function better, clearer, more focused. And this is a great one for what you're saying about corporates. Going into meetings, they've got big deadlines, they stress all the time, then they're not focusing and functioning as well as they could. So it brings in a form of performance where they can think clearer and better as well in any situation. And it's such a quick and easy tool. And this is why I like to offer that one. Like, that's step 1, check in. Step 2, 5, 10 breaths, nice deep cycle breaths. Step 3, check in again. If you need more breath, do more. If you don't and you're feeling better, good to go. Have a look back at your situation and go from there. That's when you start to find the answers to your situation.
And so when you reflect back, which you've had to do quite heavily by writing this chapter for this book, are you grateful for those darker moments?
That's a good question. Grateful? No, I wouldn't say I am grateful for those situations. I'm grateful that I was able to learn from them. And I suppose grateful now to look back at the situations, and I'm grateful that they happened, because they have helped shape who I am and formed strength, resilience, the ability to be vulnerable for myself. And I think it's where, like, vulnerable's this thrown out word where you need to show everything to everyone. It's not about that. It starts with you. And so, yeah, going back on my no answer, it's a big yes.
It did surprise me when you said no, only because I know what you've built from that point.
Yeah, I went because I'm still fresh in the memory, like from doing the writing, and it was tough. It was really tough, and like I still tear up when I go through that and think about it and working through that, what I went through at that stage to get to where I am. And it's not of pain and sadness; it's of gratitude, because I did make it.
And that's what makes you a great coach, because you can speak to it from experience.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, okay, just to wrap this up then, Paul, when we're reflecting on your chapter, what's the greatest gift you would want the readers to take from your chapter?
That you can do something about it. The gift of you have the tools within you to help yourself. And once you start to utilize even just that simple thing we did before and implement that into your life, the simplicity behind what's possible for you to change, it shifts your, I guess, availability and ability to understand that you're in control. That brings in empowerment. And so the empowerment is for yourself to know that you can do something. Because a lot of people I work with and talk to is feeling like there is no purpose, feeling like they're out of control, feeling like everything outside, the outside resources, they're not here to help me. And then they're lost and don't know where to look. And so that's the key part of the takeaway, is to go inside, find out, have a look, and it's possible.
Beautiful. Well, Paul, thank you so much for your vulnerability, your courage, your light, your leadership. I'm absolutely thrilled to have you as part of the movement and the book. Thank you so much for always showing up with such heart and such honesty.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for creating this amazing space where, the impact that we're having on people is, it is amazing. Just where it comes from, your little idea, I think. All gratitude to you.
Thank you. Thanks everybody for joining us, and we shall see you next time.